Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, buddy.
I was saying that I quite enjoyed you getting into it with a couple of our listeners after our interview last week.
What did they piss you off about?
What was the topic?
I don't know. We were talking about Cliff. I'm not sure. I forget.
I'm trying to find it.
I really don't. I honestly don't engage that much, but sometimes I just get irritated.
Yeah, you get
Like when you
triggered.
get irritated, sometimes you're just like, enough of this.
Right.
Yeah, you just get triggered. No, I've been there.
Our
Yeah, you
listeners,
just get triggered, man. I mean, honestly, I get mad at myself sometimes when I do. Because you can't. The thing is, as you can't win.
Yeah.
Like nothing you can say can win.
Yeah.
So like sometimes I get mad at myself for getting triggered, and then responding. Like it's okay to if somebody, sometimes they're just clueless and you just want to set the record straight.
Right.
And then sometimes you're like, what's the point?
I found it. You were defending the hire of Harbaugh. I think people were taking shots at Harbaugh, and
maybe that's what it was. Like I'm a John Harbaugh. Look, I know John. I mean, sometimes it's just relationships, and you're just like, wait, I know this guy pretty good. Like I lived in Philly when John came with Andy Reid in 1999. I mean, they rebuilt that whole franchise, like basically within a year. And John was a special teams coach. They had the best kicker in the league, and he did his job. And then when he was looking to become a head coach like his brother, he didn't know if he wanted to go the college route like his brother did and go to college to get to the NFL, or if he could get to the NFL. So I remember he reached out to me and, asked if I could help him, like he was looking at Duke University, some of these college jobs that were open. So I gave his resume to some people. It didn't work out, but, obviously it worked out for the Ravens. And I don't know, I think he's going to hire a good staff. And, my former mayor of Marlton, New Jersey is his kicking coach, and he found Justin Tucker, and he found this kid that kicked for him this year, and he'll find another kicker for him. And the Giants need a kicker.
Hasn't this been a crazy offseason with all the openings?
Yes.
I mean, if you would have told me Buffalo, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh were all looking for coaches, I would have said you're from another planet. What would you?
Yeah, I know. I mean, those are stable places,
I know.
And I mean, the idea is to get to them. I mean, it always takes a little bit of luck, in order to win a Super Bowl. But you got to get to the tournament every year, and these guys get to the tournament every year.
Do you buy that Tomlin could just quit cold turkey like this, allegedly? Like this is it? That's the rumor?
Well, I mean, I know the rumors that are out there, but I don't know. At some point, 19 years in one place, maybe you need a change. Maybe you just can't stop hearing all the noise that's out there about, can't win a playoff game and all that kind of stuff. He's trying to win it with a 42-year-old quarterback. I'm not knocking Aaron. Aaron was the best option they had. But, you follow Pittsburgh. I mean, since Ben Roethlisberger started to really kind of decline, they haven't been able to figure out the quarterback's position. If you don't figure that out, nobody's going to win. Your team's never going to win playoff games.
By the way, I found your response to our listener, and I loved it. But the guy said John also has 4 fourth-quarter collapses with the Ravens, or 4 fourth-quarter collapses more than anyone.
Okay.
And you're right. How many division titles has he won? I could pull stats all day to denigrate any candidate. How overrated is he when he was the number 1 head coach in the cycle?
I mean, I'm not saying anything wrong, right? I mean,
no, I got your back. I loved it.
Okay.
Baldy speaking
know.
the truth. There it is.
All right. I actually, made sense of my. Sometimes you get a little emotional.
Yeah.
Put the guy off. So I'm glad I at least made some common sense there.
Insider Calls are brought to you by Nationwide for your insurance and financial needs. Nationwide is on your side. So here in D.C., you can cross Brian Flores' name off of Dan Quinn's wish list for defensive coordinator. No surprise he goes back to Minnesota. He gets a deal there unless he gets hired as a head coach. Now it looks like Al Harris is in the crosshairs. Give us your, any skinnier intel you have on Al Harris and why he'd be a good fit here in D.C.
Well, I mean, just going back as a player, the Eagles signed Al Harris. Basically, I think he was in Tampa, and they just had an excess of corners. He ended up having a great career as a player, but he's been on staffs now where he's been the eyes up in the booth. I see him at games sometimes. He's upstairs, part of the coaching staff that's upstairs. But he's been a great player. He had a particular style. He was an excellent press man corner. I think he's learned a lot along the way, and I think he can relate to the players. And there is, I'm at the All-American Bowl right now. I was with a really good defensive back coach yesterday, and I was asking him about why these corners panic and they give up these big plays. And so we started breaking it down. And if you give up these pass interference calls in games, you lose games because of it. Buffalo did, and whether the call is right or wrong, you got to teach these. There's certain techniques you can teach, so guys don't panic when the ball is in the air. There's certain drills you can do. And I think that's just one component that I think Al Harris would be good at. But I think he knows all the coverages. I was just breaking down C.J. Stroud's first interception, and he threw it into quarters coverage. It was excellent job by New England running the coverage. The route combination against it isn't bad, but it's going to take a perfect throw. And, he could have thrown the check down to Chubb and, been just fine. But I think you've got to be able to disguise your coverages. You got to have, you got to be able to game plan week to week. But most importantly, you got to be able to be a good teacher. And I think Al Harris would be excellent at it.
So I was looking at your breakdowns at Baldy NFL on Twitter, and you've got a couple videos of the Caleb Williams play. Now, they end up losing the game, but where does that rank amongst the unlikely plays you've seen?
Well, you have to, first of all, I think you have to separate it from every, Hail Mary throw, going back to Roger Staubach, because it's not a Hail Mary. He's basically running for his life. He's being pressed, by Kobe Turner and Jared Verse and Josiah Stewart. They're coming at him, and he's just trying to buy time. How he located Cole Kmet in the corner of the end zone from 45 yards away is beyond me. But then to have the arm strength to be able to throw it over the head of the corner that's sitting right there in that situation is amazing. It's just an amazing throw. And to do it on fourth down when it's your last shot and, it becomes the throw of the postseason and you give yourself a chance to win in overtime. It's just the whole thing was just amazing. It's as good as you're going to see. And like I said, it's not a Hail Mary in the typical sense where, okay, we're going to be Jaden Daniels against the Bears last year and just throw it up and hope, Brown came down with it, whoever, win a game like that. This is a postseason game. This is sudden death. This is fourth down. This is the last throw of the game potentially. And then to complete it like that, I honestly have no idea how he even, maybe he knew Cole was going to be in the end zone because he was running this kind of like backside wheel route. But to be able to locate him and to put it right where he did was just as good as it gets.
And then what did you see on the pick at the end of the game when he said there was miscommunication?
Well, I don't know what DJ Moore was doing.
Right.
I mean, honestly. So first of all, it's a 2nd and 8 throw. He's got Kyle Monangai just on a check down over the middle. You might get 2 yards on it. I'm sure Landman's going to be right there to kind of blow it up. But you're going to live for another down. The throw is not – it's not a bad throw. I mean, obviously Cam Curl comes down with it. But DJ's running the route like he doesn't think he's going to get the ball or he doesn't flatten in that particular play. So there is some level of miscommunication. And, the quarterback is relying on the receiver to be where he thinks he's going to be. And so that's a miscommunication. And, there's a lot of quarterbacks that wouldn't make that throw because they don't want to chance it. But, Caleb is an aggressive guy, but you'd feel a whole lot better if DJ was really, if he knew he was like the ball was coming to him. It didn't look like he knew it.
Yeah.
So, Baldy, lots of experts obviously counting the Broncos out because of the Bo Nix injury. Jarrett Stidham steps in, but I'm perusing your Twitter, and you definitely have faith that Stidham can step in and help keep this Broncos team competitive. Why do you think Stidham can help lead this team to the Super Bowl?
Well, I mean, look, I remember when he came out of high school, Stephenville High School in Texas. Art Briles was the head coach of Baylor, and he was the number one quarterback prospect in the country, and Art Briles got him. I mean, he was there to replace, RG3, basically, and he was going to keep that thing rolling. And then things blew up at Baylor. He went to Auburn. But, when he got in the league, went with Josh Daniels to the Raiders, and he played. Derek Carr got hurt. He played those last 2 games. He went up against the number one defense of football. This is what Sean Payton has referenced. which was San Francisco, and he went up and down the field on them, and they lost in overtime, but he played great. And you're like, maybe he's one of these guys that just needed to sit for a little bit and buy his time, and Sean Payton picked him up, and he liked him. And, who knows? I mean, you sit for 2 years and not really play, and you think you're going to go up against the number 4 defense of football and go up and down the field like you did against the 49ers in a regular season game might be a little far-fetched, but he's been a good quarterback. He's won a lot of games in college. He's won just one game in the pros, but he's only gotten 4 shots. I think the team around him is pretty good, and so as long as he doesn't just make boneheaded mistakes the way we saw in Houston last week, I mean, he's got a chance.
So,
but I would also finish by saying this, like the idea that you can just hand the ball off and play defense, like that's nonsense. This championship Sunday, you got to make throws to win the game, and so that's the question: can he make the throws that say Drake May made last week on, to Stephon Diggs for a touchdown or Kayshon Boutte for, a touchdown? I mean, those were great throws in big spots to help win the game. Can he make those kind of throws?
So you mentioned May, and I think May played about a C game last week. Now, Will Anderson was making Will Campbell look like a backup. So, they were putting a lot of pressure, but he's got to take care of the ball. And, some of his throws were off. So I'd say May's got to play a lot better than he did against Houston. And they lay 5.5 at Denver. I mean, Denver's defense led the league in sacks. So what kind of problems do you think Denver can pose for Will Campbell and the rest of the offensive line for New England?
Well, the problem, I mean, look, you get 71 sacks. I mean, that's, right. They won by a lot. But the problem, and Sean Payton addressed it all year, and then finally last week, the sacks became sack fumbles and takeaways. And that's where they really weren't very good. I mean, they only had 14 takeaways in 17 games in the regular season. And so they had a lot of sacks. They weren't really, they didn't change the game, their sacks. You can overcome, 1st and 10 to 2nd and 13. You can overcome that. And that's what a lot of teams did. And so last week, it made a big difference. Obviously, the Jaquan interception, was huge. But they got the ball out last week, and that was, and Josh Allen had a rough day turning the ball over because of it.
Right.
And so if they could do that, that's Nick Bonito against Will Campbell. Can he do what Will Anderson did last week? That's Morgan Moses on the other side, and so can they affect – I mean, Jonathan Cooper hasn't done anything the last 8-9 weeks of the season, so I don't know if you can count on that or not from the other side. But I know Zach Allen and, some of the guys inside are pretty good. So, can you get Drake May to turn the ball over the way Josh Allen did last week? That'd go a long way to overcoming that point spread that's out there right now.
So do you like Denver in the game?
I like Denver. I do. I like Denver in the game. I think it's going to be a tough place.
Right.
Drake May's already dressed. He's never played at altitude. I don't know. I think it does make a difference. Jacksonville's the only team that really went in there this year and played well and won the game and earned it. So New England is a very, very good quality team. They do things the right way. They got great special teams. Marcus Jones is a thief. Christian Gonzalez can shut anybody down. They've got really good pieces, but I like Denver. I think it's going to be low scoring and it'll probably be defensive minded. And but I like Sean Payton in a big spot here, to really make the right decisions from a coaching standpoint.
Talking to Brian Baldinger, Odyssey NFL Insider. So let's get to the NFC Championship game. These two teams have faced each other twice, of course. Really close games. You had the first game where Darnold throws 4 interceptions and Seattle loses by 2, but they had a shot to win that. And then the last game, just a shootout, 38-37. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, that last one was 30-14 in the fourth quarter, and the Rams were blowing them out, and then things got weird, with certain calls, and the comeback came on. One thing, like Seattle's defense is the best defense in football. That being said, and they're good against everything. They're good. I mean, they've got an elite secondary. The pass rush is good. They shut the run down. They do everything right. And Mike McDonald's a great coach. But Matt Stafford has seen this defense. He's seen guys that match up zone. Mm-hmm. Sean McVay has seen it. They see the cut-ups every week. They see wherever their weaknesses might be, whether it's getting Jackson Smith and Jigba lined up on linebackers, whatever it might be. They know how to manipulate the defense better than anybody else, I think. San Francisco obviously was awful against. They couldn't score a touchdown. But I think they have a little better chance of it. The question is, can the Rams secondary play like they did last week? I mean, they won the game in Chicago. The interceptions, the fourth down stops by Cam Curl. I mean, they were outstanding last week. But they haven't been a great defense. In 4 of the last 8 games, they've given up 31 points or more. And so that's the question is, can the secondary hold up against Jackson Smith and Jigba? Can Sam Darnold take care of business? Can Kenneth Walker take over the running game now that Zach Charbonnet is out? I think Seattle can win a tight game up there right now this week.
Mm-hmm. Baldy, it's been great.
I said at the beginning, I did it in kind of a I don't know, murky kind of statement. I said a team that has never won the Super Bowl is going to win the Super Bowl this year. Now, I didn't know it was going to necessarily be Seattle. Right. I thought there might be another team that was involved, which I won't say because they didn't get there. But I thought it was going to be a year where it wasn't going to be Kansas City, it wasn't going to be Philadelphia, it wasn't going to be a team that has won it. And so I'm still sticking by that and probably riding Seattle through this whole thing.
Baldy, this is your final appearance, man. We've really appreciated having you on throughout the NFL season. Hopefully we can run it back next year, okay?
Let's do it. I've enjoyed it, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been awesome, man.
It's been fun.
Yep. Thank you, buddy.
Definitely.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Baldy. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys.